Hi, I am Kedger on Two Wheels, and today we're going to give a tiny look at these auxiliary lights. So these lights were given to me by Banggood. The description to these particular lights, the link to these particular lights should be on the description. And they were given to me by Banggood for review. I told them it would be as honest as I could make it, so here's that. So, starting off, for some reason they sent me a silver one and a black one. I'm going to assume it was on purpose, so I could see both colors. I'm going to assume that they did not fuck up and send one of each color, they just wanted to show off both. So the black one, they're a bit dirty because I've been riding with them, is a kind of shiny blackish finish. Okay? The silver one is supposed to be chrome, but no, this is actual silver and it is quite shiny. Okay? It's cool. This one looks pretty cool. Actually, both of them look. But inside they have the same lamp, which is a chrome finish at the front and the black body at the rear, with a very nice lens at the front. They actually look well built. This appears to be aluminum, but it is not because it is bendable. See? So this is some kind of softish steel. So if they crash, this is going to bend. Okay? I've put them here, not up here, because if they're here and I crash, they're going to bend over and crack this fairing, which is something I sincerely do not want. So I put them here, so if the bike falls over, it's going to impact here. You can see it's bending, look. It's kind of bendy material. Now, first things, look, each one of these is 25 euros. So both are 50 bucks. For that, you can't expect the same performance or quality from the Givi ones, which are 150. Okay, so remember that, because these are a fair price bang for buck. So let's start. They come only with this. It's a relatively long wire and nothing else. It's just the lamp and the wire, which you then have to wire. I went to Yamaha and they wired it like I asked. They just wired it inside. The battery is here on the bike, so they just put a switch here for me, wired it directly to the battery, so I can turn them on and off by themselves. I paid, unfortunately, 100 bucks for this because it was 3 hours to disassemble the whole bike, do the work, and reassemble it. So if you have to do something like that, either you wire it yourself, or you take the bike to the dealer already with all the plastics off, so you can save a lot of money on man hours for work, because that's really expensive. Mistake I made. Or if you buy one of these, well, these are not going to be bought on the dealership, but if you buy any of this stuff on the dealership and you want them to install it, make sure that the installation price is included in the price, or make sure you know what the installation price is going to be, so you don't get a nasty surprise. The price isn't too much, because when I asked to fix this little LED lamp that's inside my optic, also cost me like 100 bucks, because they had to disassemble the whole bike, and that took almost 3 hours. In that case, I had to really disassemble everything, including removing the headlamp, but yeah, whatever. Let's get to the lights. So I've tested the lights using this. It's not exactly the most accurate thing, but it is good enough for government work. And I used a light meter, which tells me now lux is about 1000, and if I cover the light sensor, which is this, or this, or oh, sorry, start, 1 lux, meaning there's nearly no light here, and the sensor thinks it's bottom light. Now, if I turn on my bike, like so, this number is what we're looking at, 20. If I go here into the beam, 3000, 36, 3700, 38, 4000, it's around that. 38 to 4000-ish. Now, about lux. Lux is basically a measure of light falling on a particular spot. It does not tell you how much light this comes out. Because even though this is only 4000, remember this is spreading light everywhere. Like so. So this light actually is lighting up even up there. So this has a huge light output, but it is spreading it around. Now these, on the other hand, are very focused. As you can see, they're just like two tiny little bubbles of light. And on this bubble of light, the light is 4000. But it should be more. We'll get to that later. The other night I had almost 7000 here. Oh, 6. I'm not looking at, not putting the sensor in the correct position. It's around 6,000, something around that. So how's that? That's because it's so focused that it makes a really narrow beam, meaning the much lower light output from that, which is a 1 or 3 watt LED, focus shoots out more light onto this smaller surface than this 35 watt LED, which lights up a huge area. It's basically a more focused beam. Now, how do they work? I have this switch here, which I turn on, and here the problems begin. First thing is that these aren't really for road illumination, because as you can see, it's a tiny spot. When I'm riding along, it's cool because it spreads out along the ground. But I put it here so you can see it's just a circle. Now, you turn them on once and it's full power. Turn them off. Turn them on, low power. Turn them off. Turn them on and they blink. So yeah, this is basically one of those standard eBay flashlights in there. It's just that, okay? Which makes it useless for a couple of things, which is disappointing. Banggood, if you want to make a really cracking product, make it just on, off, nothing else. This feature makes it useless for one thing. For example, some people like to use this aimed upwards, so they can synchronize it with the high beam, so when you touch the high beam, everything lights up. This cannot be used like that, because sometimes it will go high, sometimes it will go low, and sometimes it would go flashing. Some people like to link these lights to the high beam and the horn, so when you honk, these lights also light up. Not gonna work. Some people like to use this to turn on whenever your main light bulb turns on. That does not work here, because if you stop the bike and you start it up again, it's going to be on low beams. You always need a switch to turn them on individually. Even worse, let's see if this happens, because this is kind of a random thing. Okay, we're ready to go. See all the lights, let's start it up. Okay, now that does not work this time, but sometimes it does. And the problem, what happens here sometimes, is that if you turn your engine on with these two on, and even then, sometimes it's simply when you turn them on, one of them lights up in one mode and the other in the other mode. This is because the way the Y goes, there's one that lights up before the other. So during that energy jolt or energy cutoff with the engine starting, one of them reacts faster than the other, and so, for example, this is one on high, this is on low. And so you try to correct it. You turn off, turn on, and then this one's flashing and that one's on high. And then turn off and turn on again, trying to correct that. Now this one's flashing and this one's on high, which is annoying. So yeah, that's a really, really big problem with these, okay? It should be simple, on, off. No 3 modes, no 5 modes, none of that. Just on, off, and it would be a huge, huge improvement for these. They don't take a lot of power, because I've forgotten them turned on high for a whole morning, 5 hours, and the bike still started. Barely, but it still started, okay? Because they don't really draw that much power. It's like 1 watt. So that's cool. I'm running around to show you this. I'm trying to show you how it's wired. It just goes in, there's a switch there, whatever. But yeah, that's the lights. Am I happy with them? Yeah. They do light up the area immediately in front of me well. Okay, they're a good complement to the main beam because it's really focused, but I focus them at the front of the bike, so that works really nicely. Okay, for that they're good. Even with their quirks, remember it's only 25 bucks each, so 50 bucks for two, which is cool. They come with these clamps, even though everything's a bit soft and you have to be a bit mindful because this isn't really strong metal, but it's really cheap and it does its work really well. Especially this, look. Turn on, turn on. Let's just turn the engine on so I don't run out of battery. Now look how bright the bike looks. See? This works really well for that. It's really nice for... I've noticed really well that cars are suddenly being able to see me much easier. Way easier. It's really visible how much the cars are more aware of me with these lights on. For that they are perfect. If you can wire them so you can control each one of them individually, turn on the right one and the left one so you can go around that little quirkiness of them starting up on different modes, that's even better. But just for, if you want a set of auxiliary lights just for improved visibility on your bike so that your bike is more visible, these are fantastic. There's another version on the shop which I think is just this internal part without this, also works fine. And if you don't like this, you can simply disassemble this and plug the light directly to this thing and it'll be a little bit more discreet. In fact, the added visibility is so better that if I ever get an XJ6 or a sportier bike, I think I'm going to migrate one of these things or buy something discreet like this, even like that, just somewhere on the bike for the extra visibility, because it is really a lot. Cars are, especially when I'm filtering, they're much more aware of where I am. Much. So this really contributes to your safety. Plus, if the bike drops, it's going to drop on a 25 euro piece of equipment instead of a 1,000 euro side fairing. So that's another plus. So yeah, I'm happy with them. Could they be better? Yes. But then they'd be more expensive. The only thing that could be make them a million times better and priced the same would be for them to only have one mode, on or off, and nothing else. I'm going to cut to a few shots of this at night where I've tested them. So this will be the nighttime test of the auxiliary lights actually. So these are the lights. I'm going to turn on my LED lamp. That's the difference. So they make this little tiny focus. This one ain't quite correct. And if I point them up as if they were high beams, like so, and like so, now they're high beams. Now let's turn mine. Now let's turn my high beams on. That's the difference. There's still quite a difference. So these aren't quite strong enough to be high beams. But they can be some slightly extra low beams. Like so. So now I have combined both of the front headlamps of the front auxiliary lights, and yes, you're really well stopped, into a single beam so that their illumination is higher, and it does make a difference. Now it's finally competing with my LED headlamp. Check it out. I'm going to stop at the same spot here, turn them off, stand on tippy toes. That's off, that's on. It's really not that extra much, but it is... Oh, hang on. This is maximum. It is something. I'm going to turn off the engine. So this is the lighting those two give. So as you can see, it is a concentrated beam. it's not spreading the light. It's just one solid beam. You can't make it two, or else it will be too dim, but with a solid concentrated beam, it is something. You can use it for a spot on somewhere, but that's not altogether bad. Look, it's not that bad. So they do what they say. They are auxiliary lights. They won't work on their own, but they will work together with something else. Whoa, that was a major skid. Had to put my foot down. Let's just for shit and giggles go like this. Low. Strobe effect! Even weirder, they don't strobe at the same time, they're slightly off phase. Full dark. They work well as auxiliary lights for the low beams. So that thing of focusing them directly ahead. In fact, they work so well that when I'm riding along now, there's so much light at the front that the GoPro goes all foobarred and you can't see anything except the spot where it's lighted up, because it's just too much light, and the GoPro goes into, oh, it's day. It's daytime, so you can't see anything around the background. So yeah, that's that much light. They do not work as high beams because the beam's really focused, but doesn't have any reach, doesn't really light up things. Over, say, 100 meters or 70 meters, there's no light, okay? And if you want to use them as high beam, well, they're sometimes going to start flashing on you, so that's a bit annoying. But other than that, yeah, they're cool. For 25 bucks, you can't really ask much more. Seriously, you really can't. You can't use them as a main beam, but they're really good as auxiliary lights, at least just to show, hey, I'm here, don't kill me please, it's a bike. For that, fantastic. Link is in the description. There's the issues. If you can work around the issues, I recommend them. If you cannot work around the issues and want something better, you're going to have to spend more money, but, well, that's your choice. Am I going to keep these? Yes, I am. I was thinking of not keeping them, but I will, because they make me much safer on the road. I might upgrade them eventually when I have money for something that just has a on-off mode instead of a strong, weak strobe annoying effect. But for the time being, and probably for the foreseeable future, these work very nicely indeed. I might have to take this one out and spray painted it black, and we'll use the same spray paint on this, so they're the same, because I hate asymmetrical stuff. May have to relocate them slightly so they're a bit prettier, but yeah, that's about the thing. That's it. Cager out.